Why would I choose Lubov over fmpeg? Or is there even a difference? From what I've seen, it looks to me like Lubov's of Conv is thought to become the successor of fmpeg. Is that correct? If that's true, why is that so? What exactly is Lubov doing better, and why would I want to choose it over fmpeg? I came to this issue while installing Ubuntu 12.04.1 LTS in a VM, and when I've installed fmpeg it came up with a message telling me fmpeg is deprecated, and I first thought WTF? If I use Conv, will I be able to migrate my scripts depending on fmpeg more or less easy to Lubov? I'm mostly using it for writing metadata and doing audio conversion, WAV, FLAC, Vorbis, MP3, AAC.
Libave is dead. Last commit was on the 21st of August, 2019. Use fmpeg? Some Libave developers are now participating again in fmpeg. This is partly due to Jean-Baptiste Kempf, Videolan president, recently spearheading the reorganization of the community. A 5-person technical resolution committee has been created with former Libave members holding 2 seats, and Libave developers are welcome to join the General Assembly, a voting board for decision making. Discussions and meetings are still ongoing, but after 8 years since the fork, this may mark the beginning of a reintegration. Original answer. First of all, see who can tell me the difference and relation between fmpeg, Libave, and fconv. Much of the confusion is the result of users not differentiating between the projects, fmpeg and Libave, and their respective command line tools, fmpeg and fconv. The poorly worded messages users get when they try to use Libave's fmpeg. fmpeg versus fmpeg and Libave versus fconv. fmpeg is the project name. fmpeg is the name of their command line tool. Libave is the project name. fconv is the name of their command line tool. For a short time Libave also had a fmpeg. Users often think project when tool is being discussed, which leads to a poorly worded message. So, as we learned from the Who Can Tell Me link, when Libave forked from fmpeg they also temporarily supplied their version of fmpeg. As a member of Libave, the fmpeg maintainer in Debian and Ubuntu then decided to switch the distro to use Libave. From the perspective of Libave, this was their best move, to force a large user community to use the fork. Ubuntu switched during the transitional period when Libave supplied both their version of fmpeg and their renamed tool of fconv. When users attempted to use Libave's fmpeg they got the following message. In this case the fmpeg mentioned in the message was Libave's temporary version, which was later removed, as was the message. Remember the difference between fmpeg and fmpeg. Of course this message thoroughly confused many users who understandably did not make the distinction between project and tool, especially Ubuntu users who were not aware that their distro did a switcheroo, or users who never heard of Libave. I don't know if Libave intended users to think this, but they probably enjoyed this side effect. Some Ubuntu users thought the message was too misleading and it was later changed to a small improvement in my opinion, but I feel as if it is not clear enough. Which one do I use? Nobody can tell you which one to use. The main difference for users is that fmpeg merges many commits from Libave, but it's not so reciprocal since Libave seems to pretend that fmpeg does not exist and only occasionally cherry picks from fmpeg. To the casual user, there should not be huge differences. To get FmpEG you can follow a compile guide or see the download links for executables on the FmpEG download page. For more info see the FmpEG/libave situation.
Update, early 2016. The odds stay in favor of FmpEG. Most distros have switched / are switching back to FmpEG, Gentoo, Debian. One practical advantage of FmpEG is the broad availability of binaries for many platforms. Googling for static libs/dynamic libs/binaries yields good results for Linux, Mac, Windows, iOS and Android for FmpEG, while I could only find Linux and Windows builds for libov. This could be an important point if you have little experience with C/make files. The current situation, mid-2015. It appears to be better to stick with FmpEG. The whole situation is rather messy and ugly. I just started reading up on the fork a few days ago. Ignoring all the drama, here are what appear to be facts. FmpEG incorporates change sets from libov, while libov is reluctant to do so. See Debian debate. Chrome uses FmpEG, and Google has put serious effort into making it secure. Libov is also incorporating those changes, but at a slower pace. Google blog post. FmpEG attempts to keep as many codecs as possible, while libov drops some. Libov mailing list, post from a libov dev. The FmpEG community is larger than libov, and the most dedicated developer, Michael Niedermeyer, stuck with FmpEG. Commit stats. The Ubuntu/Debian maintainers for FmpEG were part of the libov fork. They added deprecation messages to some command line tools, hinting that FmpEG is deprecated. This caused a lot of confusion. Both Debian and Ubuntu are switching back to FmpEG.
When you go here you'll see that the most recent update is September 2012, a few months ago. It looks like this says it's just specific to Ubuntu and Debian at this time. Some time ago FmpEG split into two forks under the name of FmpEG and libov. Debian is following the libov fork in its distribution, and in an upcoming upload the binary /user/bin/FmpEG will be replaced by /user/bin/ofconf. As far as I know it is not necessary to switch immediately, but one should be upgraded to allow for either binary, from the Debian perspective, with a preference for ofconf. I know you can set the location of the binary in the preferences, but I think that with the location set, one should be able to find the proper binary. I think in the future also Windows and other distributions might be hit by this issue. To answer your question about whether or not it's exactly the same, I have implemented the checks for the correct binary in my local checkout, but reading up one, I see that there are some inconsistencies between ofconf and FmpEG. That issue is larger, because the preset file will need adjustment, and especially the way we create the command line will have to change. The options that operate on the input file need to go before the input file I. Please note, this may be specific to the Windows version. This was posted regarding the Linux version. FmpEG audio/video conversion tool is now known as ofconf, a better name in my opinion. So FmpEG command line tool is obsolete and ofconf should be used. As far as I notice all parameters remain the same, but further investigations should be made. Some modifications need to be done in sys. Tasks. Install ofconf on the machines that run sys. Usually ofconf should appear be updating FmpEG, that worked on Ubuntu, not tested for Debian. Replace FmpEG with ofconf in sys/api/fmpeg.py, class FmpEG transcoder, field prog_bin, which represents the conversion tool executable. Refactor file names, class names, method names, variable names etc. that contain fmpeg or fmpeg such that they contain a conv. And I'd like Eclipse could do this automatically. Test. If problems are noticed, debug.